So one of the trailers that I really enjoyed from the Game Awards was the trailer for Star Wars Eclipse. And by the end of that trailer, they showed the Quantic Dream logo, and I was a little bit disappointed by that because I don't really want a game in the Star Wars universe that's like Detroit Become Human or Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls. I think there's much more potential, and the trailer looked so promising. And I just don't want a movie with like quick time events where I have to press a button and all that. I was a bit disappointed by that. However, now that I was just browsing Twitter, I came across this hashtag that's trending right now as I'm recording this, BlackoutStarWarsEclipse. And I was like, hold on, what's that all about? And as I was investigating, I stumbled across this little reaction video from various Twitch streamers, presumably. And I want you to watch this with me because it raised a few questions which we're hopefully going to be able to answer in this video. So here we go.
Star Wars Eclipse. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be Nihilist for a second. Oh no. 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 No, 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 no.
So at this point I thought he's the same as me. He's like, oh no, a movie-like game with like very few interaction and a few quick-time events and all that. But it's way more than that.
Oh. It's a David Cage's studio. Oh no.
What a way to kick off.
Damn, I just said that.
Eclipse.
Eclipse? Oh, that's brand new.
Brand new Star Wars.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Well, it's a cinematic trailer that didn't tell me shit. I can only get so excited, but that... Uh-oh. 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 Not David Cage.
I love how the excitement flips like 180 degrees the second that logo comes on screen.
David Cage!
It took her a long time to get that out. She was like, oh no. Oh no.
What kind of game is that though?
No idea. That was a big old. Well,
it's not pod racing. Yeah. What is that?
Take all of what you just saw. If there's any excitement, any joy, any wonder, any bewilderment for the world of Star Wars, and just package it all up and flush it down the toilet.
Oh no!
David Cage. That's what that logo means.
Yep,
that logo means
that's the lens.
Star Wars
Through the lens.
Lucas Cross David Cage.
Right, and I have to ask you to read what's on the screen right now by yourself because I can't read it out because it would instantly demonetize this video. But this is a story that I was not aware of, right? I read this and I was like, hold on, what's going on? Like, I was not aware of the story behind David Cage and Quantic Dream, so I dug a little bit. And I'm sure there are a lot of you guys out there who also missed this story, so I thought I'll break it down for you guys, because it is actually a really interesting story with a lot of twists and turns. So in 2018, 3 French newspaper outlets published the results of a joint investigation into the business practices of Quantic Dream. It was a big story, basically saying that the company harnesses a toxic corporate culture, management with inappropriate words and attitudes, it's under considering employees, it has overwhelming workloads and questionable contractual practices. Now, while that's obviously more like legal speak, what that effectively means is that there was misconduct and harassment in the company. As we've seen it with so many other video game companies at this point, it really is a red thread that goes through the whole gaming industry. But to give a concrete example, what happened is that, for example, 600 photoshopped images are said to have been circulated in the company depicting employees of the 180 people strong studio in Nazi uniforms, swimming costumes, and, well, let's just say erotic nurse outfits. Now, when those allegations were surfaced, David Cage and the CEO of Quantic Dream, Guillaume de Fontumière, that's his name, by the way, claimed that they were unaware that those images were offensive. They're like, what? Our employees photoshopped onto Nazi officers? That's offensive? Showing our female employees and on top of like erotic photography of women in swimsuits? That's offensive? I don't know what you are talking about. So as a result of that story, one employee, actually a male employee, went to court and he sued Quantic Dream. And in 2018, the court ruled in that employee's favor, saying that it was justified that he had to leave the company due to it being a toxic workplace, and it was recognized by the court that his dismissal was unfair. So at that point, David Cage and Quantic Dream said, no. That's not fair. Okay, you're treating us, we are the victims here. This is not right. You're destroying our reputation by putting these things out there that we did, which are, by the way, totally not offensive. Okay, you're putting all this out there. We're going to go and appeal this. We're going to go to court as well and fight these defamation allegations in front of the court and clear our name. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Now, in 2021, that appeal lawsuit was held and Quantic Dream won at least part of that lawsuit against one of the three accusing newspapers and also against this employee. So in the original lawsuit, I think Quantic Dream had to pay the employee like something like 7,000 euros. Now in that libel lawsuit where they fought back trying to clear their name, now that employee had to pay Quantic Dream about 10,000 euros. And not only that, they also won, at least in part, against one of two newspapers that they tried to fight back against, which is Le Monde. I think that's a very big French newspaper. However, talking about it like this, it sounds like a vindication of their name, and they're like they won the whole thing back and now their name is cleared and all that. It's not that. In that lawsuit, 3 out of 7 passages that were in the original report about Quantic Dream were dismissed. So not the whole thing was dismissed, only 3 out of 7 passages, and those were dismissed because Le Monde, this newspaper, couldn't meet the burden of proof. Okay, so they were claiming things, couldn't prove them. However, 4 of those statements were kept up as made in good faith and they had sufficient factual base. And beyond that, the second media outlet that Quantic Dream were trying to shoot back against were cleared of all libel charges against them. Okay, so while it sounds like a big win for Quantic Dream, actually it's not really. And if you dig a little bit deeper into this lawsuit, and there's a great article on Games Industry Biz about this, you have to read the following because it's actually quite interesting. So here it says, only one photo montage implicated the plaintiff and the court added that the employee knew about it as soon as it was shared in 2015, as he was amongst the recipients of the email. The plaintiff had previously argued that he learned about the image when the press published it. The plaintiff also didn't complain about the image until another member of staff reported it, with the court arguing that their delayed response showed a tacit acceptance of the content of the message received. The court ended up ruling that there was no link between the publication of degrading images involving members of staff and the reason why the plaintiff in question had to leave or left the company. Okay, so they're basically saying the guy already received the image in 2015, but then didn't do anything about it, didn't get up and said, you know, this is super offensive, I'm leaving the company right now, until 2018 when the big story broke and another employee got up and said, well, this is offensive, I'm offended, you know, I'm going to do something about this. So this person gets punished for not immediately standing up, throwing their job away in front of a big company of 180 people saying, this is super offensive, I'm leaving. It's just a little bit unclear to me to what extent that argument really holds up. Okay, because can you really judge a person for not immediately standing up, throwing their job away and saying, you know, there's a picture of me, I don't know, in a Nazi uniform or something, and now I'm quitting my job? That person might as well have been very offended by it, but if nobody else stands up, you know, you're holding back. You don't want to be the one person that's singled out who stands up and says, you know, I'm the guy now who's leaving the company over this, and who might kickstart a whole wave of other people doing the same, but who might as well be just the one guy who ultimately gets ridiculed even more for doing this because, oh, he can't take a joke or whatever. So it's a little bit of a wishy-washy argument, I feel, that the prosecutors were making. And someone says it quite rightly here in the comment section under a Polygon article about this as well. He says, it's as if the court hasn't heard of not wanting to rock the boat for the sake of your job and not finding the courage to do something about it until another party successfully sued. Keep in mind they were successfully sued before, and this is not really a vindication of the studio. And to be honest, I kind of agree with that statement, especially considering all the circumstances and the bigger picture of this story. But Well, you might say, well, that's not a big deal, okay? The court decided this way, the other court decided that way. That's not a reason for people to get so upset about David Cage. There must be more to this, and you're quite right. There is more to it. There's also this article about David Cage, which, to be honest, also doesn't paint him in a very good picture, titled Quantic Dream doesn't make game for FAGS, Cage allegedly said. So this is a statement taken from the court case in 2021, where David Cage appeared in front of court trying to clear his name. And it says, Cage was stammering in tears, exclaiming, "You interfere in my business," before leaving the courtroom, fleeing from the defense lawyer's plea, who read a translation from the Solitaires Informatique, which I think is this other newspapers, that was translated as the following. It is obviously that it was difficult for him to talk about honor when mentioned a list of remarks he had made in public. These are the remarks that David Cage made in public in the past. Anyway, in my games, all women are, derogatory term for prostitutes. In the open space, there is a lack of boobs. Or another one, as shown in the title, at Quantic Dream, we don't make games for FAGS. So there are clearly like homophobic tendencies there, and this is just stuff, you don't just say it not in public, it's just stuff you just don't say. You know, it's really, really offensive to so many people, and especially if you're a public figure like David Cage, you just don't make statements like that unless you are really behind it and you're standing for those statements and opinions. You can't make statements like that, but then at the same time cry in front of court saying everyone's interfering with the reputation of your business, painting yourself like the victim. I mean, you either own it and you have homophobic opinions, or you don't say that kind of stuff in the first place, but then painting yourself as a victim afterwards, it's just weak, man. Beyond that, there are comments under the Reddit thread about this article that I just read to you guys, where people are saying, are you telling me the guy who was carrying around a binder full of photos of Elliot Page as a child is a creep? What a concept. So I looked that up as well, and it basically refers to an interview where David Cage was asked how Beyond Two Souls started, right? The game that had at that time still Ellie Page in it. And he kind of waved around a picture of her being extremely young and said, oh, it all started with this picture, and it all got a bit creepy. Okay, if you read the interview, I can link it down in the description. I'll link all these links, by the way, the references down in the description. You can read up on them yourself. But it just got a bit creepy. And that combined with all these homophobic statements that he made, it just doesn't look good. It paints a picture of a person who's just a bit of a twat, okay? A homophobic twat, a person that's unlikable. And to be honest, it kind of links back to the lawsuit, to the authenticity of all those claims of like the harassment and inappropriate behavior within the studio. You know, someone who says stuff like that and who has opinions like that, I mean, he even puts them out publicly, would probably not be running a super inclusive and tolerant studio towards all minorities. I think that's a fair assumption. Obviously, you can argue with the court cases back and forth to an extent, but this doesn't exactly paint a picture of a very tolerant and friendly person. And so we get loads of people getting upset on Twitter, to kind of come back to the very beginning. People saying, I support the Blackout Star Wars Eclipse. The High Republic has put queer characters and Black and indigenous people of color at the forefront of the story, and there is nothing more insulting to fans and the storytellers who built it than choosing to work with someone who openly hates people like the heroes of the High Republic. Now, I personally, I'm not super familiar with the characters of the High Republic and to what extent it's about people of color and queer characters. I don't know it, but if people are saying it and get so offended, then there must be some truth to it. And I understand that there is a conflict, okay? If it really is about queer people and people of color and indigenous people and highlighting these kind of minorities as heroes within the High Republic, and then you choose someone like David Cage with a history like we just spoke about to tell that story, there is a conflict there, okay? And it is offensive and it is annoying, and I think to an extent the outcry is justified. Now, a lot of people are crying out, hoping that now Disney and Star Wars are changing the studio so that the game still exists, because the trailer, I think everyone agrees, looked awesome, but that they take that game and give it to another studio. And I think that would be kind of unprecedented if that would be happening, that kind of a studio gets cancelled over an outcry like that. It's not the first time that a studio takes over another game from another studio, but that you have this kind of cancellation outcry on Twitter and on social media as a whole, and then that would trigger another studio taking over this game. I think that would be unprecedented. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I don't think so, especially considering that this game is still in very early development. I don't think we can even expect it to come out next year. So it still has a long way to go, but I do understand the conflict and I do understand why people are getting upset at this. And a lot of people are taking a stand online. You know, as I said, the hashtag is currently trending, right? With quite a lot of tweets. People are saying David Cage has a history of disgusting behavior, especially towards women and the queer community. The Star Wars Eclipse reveal had me really excited, but we will not be covering the game while Cage is involved, and we support the fans behind Blackout Star Wars Eclipse. Guys, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, because this is another story that splits video game fans in half, right? We've heard it many times before where people are like, well, I don't care if he talks like this about queer people, basically expressing that they don't care about queer people and people of color, kind of imposing their own, often political views on a decision like that and saying, well, I don't care, they shouldn't cancel him, blah, blah, blah. And then there are a lot of people like these people who are very offended by it, who also sometimes may go a bit too far, trying to cancel whole studios and whole games and whole people and never let this man make a game again. So I think both sides need to watch their language and need to kind of look at their own behavior to an extent and control themselves with how far they're going and what is still justified in a decision like that. And I don't want to have debates under this video where people are just like insulting each other and being hateful towards the queer community. I'm not going to tolerate that, okay? If that shit happens down in the comments, I'm going to delete those comments. But I absolutely embrace a healthy debate about the topic, because I think there is good reason to have a debate. So as long as you have something to say that's not insulting to a certain group of people, leave all your thoughts down in the comments. Any opinion is welcome and any opinion is justified to an extent. In any case, I'd be very curious to hear them, so please leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video and you learned something, then please don't forget to smash the like button. That would be much appreciated. You can also subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, do all the things, because I would love to see you in another video on the channel. Thank you so much for being here with me, for hanging out, for taking the time to watch this video all the way to the end. I really, really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching, and I'm out. Bye.